You step up to the tee. 80 miles an hour, dead on the money for a swing like yours. The ball on that peg cost you almost $50 a dozen, and it still lands short of the guy who outdrives you every single Saturday. I lived that exact frustration for years. So here is what I found out when I finally tested it myself. The ball most of us are told to buy is quietly stealing distance from anyone who swings under 90 miles an hour, and a cheaper, softer ball can fly around 12 yards farther for a swing exactly like mine. That is not a slogan. That is what a machine proved when I stopped guessing and started measuring. This used to be common knowledge among the people who actually built golf balls. It got buried under marketing the day the pros started selling us the same ball they play. Stick with me, because a robot named after Byron Nelson, built back in the 1960s, holds the answer, and near the end, I will give you a 2-minute trick with your ball and your pocket that adds yards this weekend, no matter how old your clubs are or how slow you think you swing. Let me take you back to where this started for me, standing in a pro shop, holding a box I could barely afford. For most of my adult life, I bought the expensive ball, you know the one, the white box, the premium name, the ball the tour players putt with on Sunday. I bought it because I thought that was what serious golfers did. I figured if the best players in the world trusted it, it had to be making me better too. That was the whole logic. It sounded airtight. Here is the moment it cracked. A few summers ago, I was playing with a retired plumber named Walt, 71 years old, swing as smooth as a screen door hinge with oil on it, nothing violent about it. And Walt kept flying his drives 8, 10, 12 yards past mine off the same tees. I was grinding, swinging out of my shoes, and this calm old man was just sliding it by me. On about the 14th hole, I finally asked him what ball he played. He reached in his bag and held up a 2-piece ball that cost about $18 a dozen, less than half what I was paying. I laughed it off that day. I told myself he just caught it clean, but it gnawed at me the whole drive home, because it did not make sense. I had the newer driver, I had the pricier ball, I had the faster swing, or so I believed, and I was losing the one thing every golfer secretly counts, which is yards off the tee. So I did what I should have done years earlier. I started reading, and not the ads. I went digging into how golf balls are actually tested, who tests them, and what the numbers say for a swing speed like mine. What I found made me feel like I had been played for a fool for a decade. Because the whole premium ball story falls apart the second you look at how these things get measured, and the tool that measures them has been around longer than I have been alive. That tool is a machine, and its story is the first thing that changed my mind. Back in the middle of the 1960s, an engineer working with the True Temper Company built a mechanical golfer. The goal was simple. Human testers were inconsistent. You cannot trust a person to swing exactly the same way 500 times in a row. So they built an arm that could. They needed a swing so pure and so repeatable that it could tell one ball from another with zero human error. And they named that machine after the player whose real swing was the most repeatable anyone had ever seen, Byron Nelson. They called it Iron Byron. Think about what that means. For more than half a century, the people who make and regulate golf balls have known the truth down to the yard, because they could strip out the human and let a perfect machine hit ball after ball at any speed they chose. The United States Golf Association leaned on that kind of robotic testing to set the rules of the game. The manufacturers used it to design every ball you have ever bought. The data has always existed. It just never made it onto the front of the box. And here is the part that stopped me cold. When you set a swing robot to 80 miles an hour, which is right around the average driver speed for a huge slice of everyday golfers, the ball that wins is almost never the tour ball. It is the softer, lower compression ball, the exact kind of ball old Walt pulled out of his bag, the exact kind of ball I had been sneering at. Now let me explain compression, because this is the whole secret and nobody ever bothered to tell me in plain English. Every golf ball has a rating for how firm it is and how much it squishes when you strike it. That is compression. A firm, high compression ball needs a lot of force to flatten it against the club face. When it flattens correctly, it springs back hard and launches like a rocket. The tour players who swing 115, 120 miles an hour, they generate enough force to compress that firm ball fully. For them, it is perfect. It rewards their speed and gives them control. But here is what happens to a swing like yours and mine at 80 miles an hour. We do not bring enough force to fully compress that firm ball. We are essentially hitting a rock that never flexes the way it was designed to. All that lovely spring-back energy, we never unlock it. It is like trying to bounce a bowling ball. The energy just does not come back to you. So we leave distance on the table, drive after drive, year after year, and we blame our swing when the real problem is a mismatch we were sold on purpose. The softer ball is built for us. Lower compression means it flexes fully, even at slower speeds. Your 80-mile-an-hour swing squishes it just right, and it springs back and launches with energy you were never getting before. That is where the extra yards come from. It is not magic. It is physics that the robot proved decades ago. I read all this, and I still did not fully believe it. I have been burned by promises before, so I decided I was not going to trust a forum, or an ad, or even a retired plumber. I was going to run my own test, the same way the engineers did. And what that test showed me, I am going to walk you through step by step, because the numbers genuinely shocked me. But first I need to tell you why nobody ever handed me this information, because that is where I started to get angry. The premium ball became the status symbol. Somewhere along the way, the ball stopped being sold as equipment and started being sold as identity. Play what the champions play. That single idea moved millions of dozens of golf balls into the bags of weekend players who could never generate the speed to use them properly. I fell for it completely. I thought paying more meant getting more. And the beautiful trick of it is that the ball still felt premium in my hand. It felt soft around the greens. It looked pristine, so I never questioned whether it was actually going shorter off the tee, because the box told me it was the best, and the pros told me it was the best. And who was I to argue with that? Nobody was lying to me exactly. The tour ball genuinely is the best ball on the planet. For the person swinging 115 miles an hour, the sleight of hand was letting me assume that best for them meant best for me. Those are two completely different questions, and the answer for me was hiding in plain sight the whole time inside a machine built in the 1960s. So here is the test I actually ran, in the flesh, with my own hands. I booked an hour on a launch monitor at an indoor golf place near me. $45 for the session, and it turned out to be the best $45 I have spent on this game. A launch monitor is just a small radar unit that measures everything about your shot, your club speed, your ball speed, your launch angle, your spin, and your carry distance down to the yard. No opinions, no marketing, just numbers. I brought 2 sleeves of balls. In the first, my beloved premium tour ball, the one I had defended for years. In the second, a low-compression soft ball that cost about $17 a dozen, the everyday golfer ball I used to walk right past in the shop. First, I confirmed my swing speed, because you cannot understand any of this without knowing yours. Mine came in right around 81 miles an hour with the driver, bang in the middle of the range we have been talking about. Then I hit 10 drives with the tour ball, warmed up, settled in, nothing fancy. My average carry landed right around 194 yards. Solid, about what I expected. That was my whole golfing life in one number. Then I switched to the cheap softball and hit 10 more. Same swing, same everything. And I watched the carry number climb. 202, 205. My average settled at around 206 yards. That is 12 yards, exactly what the robot data had promised, sitting right there on the screen in front of me, in numbers I could not argue with. 12 yards. Let me put that in real terms. 12 yards is the difference between laying up short of the water and carrying it clean. It is the difference between a full wedge into the green and an awkward little half swing. Over 18 holes, on maybe 10 or 12 driving holes, that is more than 100 yards of total ground I had been giving away, every single round, for years, while paying nearly triple for the privilege. And it was not just distance. The ball speed off the face was higher with the softball because I was finally compressing it. My spin numbers were lower and more stable, which meant straighter drives, less of that ugly slice that eats even more distance. The machine confirmed everything the engineers figured out with Iron Byron more than 50 years ago. I just had to be willing to test it instead of trusting the box. Before I walk you through those numbers, let me stop you on one thing, because that moment in the booth is exactly where this next part matters most. Picture yourself next Saturday, teeing up that $50 a dozen ball again, grinding, swinging out of your shoes, and still watching a calm old man slide it right past you. That ache of giving away yards you should own, round after round, is the whole reason I put everything I dug up into 3 short books called The Complete Ball Fitting System. First Wins shows you exactly why the tour ball actively hurts slower swings, and it hands you the exact ball model for players under 75 miles an hour, plus the 75 to 85 sweet spot guide most senior advice completely ignores. Ball Mastery gives you a low spin distance formula built for 60-plus swing speeds, and a simple scorecard read that reveals your real ball problem. And the complete system maps compression all the way from under 75 up to 90, so you never have to guess again, and you never need a launch monitor to do it. Here is your free proof tonight. Before you spend a dime on anything, grab whatever ball is in your bag right now, look up its compression rating online, and check it against your honest driver carry, and if you carry under 220 yards with a ball rated above 60, you are watching your own distance leak away in real time. The fastest way to get the books is to scan the QR code right there on your screen, or go to the link in the description, or the pinned comment. And this matters every round you already play, because that mismatch is costing you yards on every driving hole right now, not someday. Stick with me, because after this I ran my own test on a launch monitor, and the numbers on that screen are the part I still can barely believe. Now, back to that booth, because the numbers are what finally shocked me into believing all of this. I sat in that little indoor booth feeling 2 things at once. Excited because I had just found free yards, and a little sick because I did the math on how much money and how many good drives I had thrown away chasing a status symbol I was never fast enough to use. Now, I know exactly what some of you are thinking right now, because I thought it too. You are thinking that this is fine for a guy who can drop $45 on a launch monitor and mess around with 2 sleeves of balls. You are thinking you do not have a fancy indoor studio near you, or the money to test, or the time to fiddle with this. Maybe you are thinking your swing is even slower than 80, and none of this applies to you at all. I want to speak straight to you for a minute, because you are the person who needs this most, and it costs you almost nothing to use it. You do not need a launch monitor. I only used one to prove it to myself because I am stubborn. You already have everything you need to find your answer. Here is how you check your own swing speed for free. Take your driver to any range, or even your own backyard net, and figure out your honest, comfortable carry distance with the driver. Not your one lucky bomb, your normal, repeatable carry. If your driver carry sits somewhere around 220 yards or less, your swing speed is almost certainly under 90 miles an hour, and you are firmly in the group that gains distance from a softer, lower compression ball. If you carry it around 180 to 200, like most of us, you are exactly the person the tour ball is working against. There is an even simpler version. Look at the club that gets you to the middle of a par 4 green in 2 shots, or a par 3 you can just reach. If you are reaching 150 yards with a 7-iron or a longer club, rather than a short wedge, your speed is moderate, and the soft ball is your friend. You do not need to measure anything to a decimal. You just need to be honest with yourself about how far you actually hit it, not how far you hit it that one time 3 years ago that you still talk about. Then do the cheapest experiment in golf. Buy 1 dozen low-compression softballs. Look on the box or look up the compression rating and pick something rated low, roughly in the 35 to 60 range. Play 1 full round with them. Just 1. Pay attention to your drives and your longer approach shots. The places speed matters most. You are not risking a savings account. You are risking about $17 in one round of your time, against a chance to pick up 10 or more yards for the rest of your life. That is the whole test. It fits any budget, any age, any swing. I promise you, this is not just for the guy with the studio. It is for the person playing a public course on a Tuesday morning with a bag they have had for 15 years. Especially that person, because the slower and smoother your swing, the more the softball helps you, not less. Walt proved that to me at 71 years old, and the machine proved it again in that booth. But even after all this, there was one more layer I did not see coming. Because knowing which ball to play is half of it. The other half is a secret about that ball that almost nobody talks about, and it explains why the exact same ball can fly beautifully one day and come up dead short the next. This is the part I promised you at the start, and it is the piece that finally made everything click. Here is what I stumbled onto. Two golfers can play the identical soft, low-compression ball with the identical swing and get completely different distances. Not because of the ball model, because of the ball's temperature. Let me explain, because this reaches back to more of that quiet lab research the manufacturers have always had and rarely shout about. A golf ball is a spring. We already covered that. And just like any spring, or any rubber, how it responds depends on how warm it is. A cold golf ball is stiff. Its core hardens. It resists compressing, exactly like the too firm tour ball did for our slower swings, which means it flexes less, springs back weaker, and flies shorter. A warm golf ball is livelier. The core is at its ideal state. It compresses fully, and it springs back with everything it has. The testing on this goes back decades, done in the same careful, controlled lab conditions the United States Golf Association and the ball makers use to set their standards. The numbers that keep showing up are striking. A ball that has been sitting out in cold air, down around 40 degrees, can lose meaningful carry compared to that same ball at a comfortable 70 degrees. The figures I kept running into landed somewhere around 2 yards of carry lost for roughly every 10 degrees the ball cools below its happy range. Let a ball get properly cold and you can bleed off 5, 8, even 10 yards, on top of any ball mismatch you already had, which means all winter and all through those chilly spring and fall mornings, when your ball has been rattling around in a freezing car trunk overnight, you are teeing up a dead stiff ball and wondering why you have lost your distance. I felt that one personally, because I am an early bird. I play the first tee time I can get, and my bag lives in the trunk. My ball on the first tee in October had been sitting at maybe 45 degrees for hours, stiff as a marble. No wonder I always felt slow to start. So here is the trick, and it is so simple it is almost insulting that we pay for anything else. Keep your golf ball warm, and swap in a warm one whenever the one in play has gone cold. This is what I do now, and it costs nothing. On cold mornings I keep 2 or 3 balls in my front pants pocket, right against my leg, where body heat keeps them at a livelier temperature. I rotate. I play one for a few holes, then swap it into my pocket to warm back up and pull out the one that has been heating against me. The rules of golf do not let you swap the ball mid-hole, so I make the switch on the tee, between holes, which is perfectly fine. On really cold days, a cheap hand warmer, the kind you shake to activate, tucked into your pocket next to a couple of balls, keeps them genuinely warm all round. A pack of 10 of those hand warmers costs a few dollars and lasts you the whole winter. The pros do exactly this in cold weather events. They just never make a fuss about it, because it looks too simple to matter. I tested this one too, because by now I trust nothing until I see it. Same soft ball, same day, but I compared one that had been sitting in my cold trunk against one I had kept warm in my pocket for an hour. The warm ball carried noticeably farther, right in line with what the lab numbers predicted. A ball I already loved, made even better, for the price of a pocket. Put those two discoveries together and this is the whole game changed for me. Play a ball your swing can actually compress, a softer, low-compression ball if you swing under 90. Keep that ball warm so it performs at its best. That is it. That is the entire secret that a machine named Iron Byron and a quiet stack of lab research have been holding since before most of us ever picked up a club. Not a new driver, not a lesson package, not another $50 box with a champion's name on it. Just the right ball, at the right temperature, chosen with honest numbers instead of marketing. The knowledge was always there. The engineers knew it in the 1960s. The robot proved it thousands of times. The lab tests confirmed the temperature effect. It just got buried because a mismatched premium ball sold at a premium price was too good a business to let plain truth get in the way. Somebody kept the real data alive in test labs and rule books and dusty research, and now you have it, sitting in your pocket, literally. Here is what I really recovered that day in the booth, and it was not just 12 yards. I recovered the feeling that I am not slow, or over the hill, or bad at this game. I was just handed the wrong tool and told it was the best one. The moment I matched the ball to my own swing, the game got kinder, and I think a lot of you have been carrying the same quiet shame about your distance that I was, when the fix was never your body at all. If you are the kind of person who suspects that a lot of useful, simple truth gets shoved aside so somebody can sell you the complicated, expensive version, then you and I think the same way. That instinct is right more often than not, and this game is full of it. So let me ask you something specific, and I really do want you to answer. What driver swing speed are you working with, and what ball have you been playing all this time? If you already know your number, drop it in the comments below, along with the ball you have been loyal to. And if you do not know your speed yet, comment and tell me the club you use to carry 150 yards, and I will tell you roughly where your speed lands and whether the soft ball is going to help you. Do not just watch and leave. Take 10 seconds and leave that comment, because I read them and I answer, and other golfers reading them learn from your number too. If you want more of this, the buried, tested, common sense kind of knowledge that got paved over so somebody could sell you the shiny version, then come along with the rest of us who are digging it back up one video at a time. Next time I am putting the old wisdom to the test on putters, because there is a reason the cheapest putter on the rack rolled the ball truer than a model costing 10 times more when I ran them side by side, and the answer goes back almost 100 years. You are not going to believe what actually controls a true roll, and it is not the price tag. I will see you there. Before you go, if this video helped, there's a deeper version waiting for our members. You can ask me your own question and a real person answers, and you'll be among thousands of folks just like you. Point your phone's camera at the code on screen. It takes less than a minute, and you can cancel anytime, no risk. Now, if your swing is a little faster, I want to help you too. Right here, I'll show you the 5 balls that fly farthest for 85-mile-per-hour swings. Let's take a look together.